What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday, January 24th, 2025. It is the monthly equation day, or I should say addition day. I always like, as a numbers nerd, I tend to notice when the month and the day add up to the year. So today's 1/24/25, 1 plus 24 at my last check equals 25. So yeah. And I'm on my daily work commute. It's probably better that this just serves as an audio podcast while I'm driving, so I'm not tempted to look at the camera. But this really is also letting you in on something that I do frequently, which is I just record. I record myself talking on the way to work. And, it's just sort of like, I don't know, I just find it to be like a therapeutic little period of time where I can kind of just, kind of mind dump a little bit, maybe strategize, just kind of check in with myself, talk about where I'm at. And so why should I always keep that private? There's times where I can just bring in anyone that wants to be part of that. Not that I feel like my life or my thoughts are necessarily interesting enough to warrant you hopping on board with me for 20 minutes or whatever this ends up being. My commute's about 18 minutes. But yeah, I will record it, and I'll do that a few times a week, and just kind of thinking about why. Like, why do I do that? One reason is that I really don't always do a lot of talking during my workday. I don't have very many coworkers, at least within my agency. As I sip the caffeine of the day, which is Danger Coffee by Dave Asprey. It's the dark roast, notes of chocolate, nougat. But yeah, if you're interested in that, a really good coffee that is a healthy coffee. No mold, no toxins, a lot of minerals, vitamins. I don't know about vitamins, but minerals, electrolytes. And so, yeah, I just like the idea of the clean coffee. Dangercoffee.com, I believe. And if you go there, if you use the code LUNS, you'll get a free bag. I'm just playing. But if you use the code DANGER10, I believe that knocks off 10%. Or it should work for you. It knocks off 10% of your bag. So, not cheap. Coffee's one of those things. I feel like everyone deserves to have a little, have the things that they'll splurge on, and coffee is one of those. Definitely a coffee guy. But yeah, so one reason is that I don't get to do a lot of talking, and I am naturally, I think by nature, I lean extrovert. Like, I'm definitely talker. I enjoy conversation, enjoy talking, and so this outlet really aligns with me from the podcast standpoint, to be able to just sort of talk out my thoughts. And so I think that doing this every day, it is healthy for me, and it's therapeutic, and but it also reminds me that I have some work to do, and I have work to do in the area of communicating with others, and maybe stepping outside of my comfort zone to do that. It's very rare that I'll just call a friend or reach out to someone. I think it's so easy when, back in the day, when your social environments were already sort of set up for you, with school, college, you know, in your 20s, where everyone lives in the same general area and vicinity, and you go out, you know, 2 nights a week to the nearest watering hole with several people, and you're probably gonna see several people you know at these places. It's just like, it was so easy back then. But, you know, as the branches grow apart over time and everyone's lives become established in their own way, it's like, it requires more effort. You know, I think obviously COVID definitely shifted and altered things a lot. It sort of, unfortunately, I think rewired the way a lot of us approach social interaction, or it just sort of altered things. And I don't think I worked hard enough on intentionally or mindfully navigating COVID in that regard, as far as keeping in touch with people and still continuing to do the things that I like to do, and, you know, to the level that I could. I sort of just kind of let COVID happen. And who knows, maybe this is still part of the work of reworking myself back out of that situation, you know, where I do need to step back out of the whole isolation mentality. You know, I spend a lot of time isolated. You know, I live with my wife, of course, so there's that interaction, but she probably hears a lot more than she needs to from me with my my thoughts and my you know, my venting or my problems or anything like that, because I'm not expanding my outlets. You know, I'm not tapping into my network, into my support system to the level that I need to. So then it all channels towards her, and it's like, you know, she'll always be there for that. But just times like this, it reminds me that maybe I'm doing this maybe this is telling myself that I am a little bit lonely, and that I can be confident enough to admit that. You know, this is a real season of growth that I am feeling in so many different areas of my being. You know, I feel like shedding some layers. I'm going through some growing pains. It's not always smooth sailing, not always stable. It's a little rocky at times. I'm working on stepping outside my comfort zone. I'm working on breaking down the barriers, the mental barriers, and the cage that I, you know, have put myself in, as far as what life is, what I think life should be, and the way things need to be for me to be okay. And, you know, I think a lot of us have these self-imposed barriers as to what we need to do and the way life needs to be for us to be comfortable. And we're not trusting the opportunity and the value of what is just beyond those barriers, the potential of it. Like, man, again, the book I'm on is The Untethered Soul, and it's just a game changer. That's kind of the latest passage right there that I was talking about, is the latest passage I read from that book, just going beyond, basically stepping outside of your own, the fortress you've built to keep yourself safe, kind of going beyond that to what is out there. But I also want to touch on, you know, this sort of connects to another long-standing, I would say one of my biggest, one of my strongest character traits. I can't all the way call it a flaw or a strength, because it's sort of both. It has its pros and cons. But that is perfectionism, and I've talked about it. I've touched on it in past episodes, and most recently, it's come to the forefront again after I've just watched the Aaron Rodgers documentary on Netflix, Enigma. So if you've seen that, then you'll know what I'm talking about, and hopefully you found it as awesome as I did. Man, that documentary was good. Shout out my homie Sean for recommending it. But yeah, I've always liked Rogers, and it's a very mind-opening documentary. And also, I was just listening to him on a podcast, on the I Can Fly podcast, which was very cool, good episode. And he's talking about his inner perfectionist and how being a perfectionist can really set you up for like a life of just dissatisfaction and kind of self-loathing. And like when you are a perfectionist, that really what the message that you are signaling to yourself deep down is that you are broken in some way, or that something's missing. It's like, man, that hits home for me. I don't really, so I guess to expand on my own perfectionism, I mean, this could be a whole episode is me unpacking my perfectionism. But just, there's a lot of different ways in which I'm OCD or I'm very type A, and I oftentimes thrive on order. I also suffer as a result of my need for order, and just organization. And I do have a lot of strengths in that area that have really allowed me to navigate life and set up a lifestyle that does run pretty smoothly and does allow me to accomplish a variety of things. But I know that my perfectionism also, it does sort of conflict with my inner creative spirit, and I think the biggest way, or one of the ways that this manifests itself is that it's almost like my perfectionism will keep me from even starting something. Again, this is a thread that I've touched on, but I've got so many, I feel like I have an endless well of creative ideas. I'm constantly capturing ideas of ways that I can use my creativity to create something, or to build something, or to try something new, or whatever. Try this new little thing or project towards, my creative ambitions. And then it'll just be this sort of flash in the pan, just this moment of excitement that I'll write down the idea, but then it'll just end up going into the pile with the rest of them, and I won't execute on it. But there's a lot of ways in which my perfectionism hinders me in life, and it does signal. I am signaling to myself that there's something that I'm just not okay with about myself. I mean, I think we all feel that way to a degree, but perfectionism also, it gets in the way of self-love. It'll lead you to self-loathe, because when you've got this idea of how things should unfold, or the way that you want things to go, and then when they don't go that way, or you don't accomplish this thing, then you're unsatisfied. And there's negative self-talk that'll begin from that. Like each time I promise myself or set a goal to myself that I don't achieve, well, then that's just another message to myself that it's another moment of, you didn't accomplish this. Like, you aren't good enough to get this done. Whereas maybe the goals themselves or the way that I relate to the goals is what needs the attention. And the metaphor that he used is treating yourself like your best friend. So your best friend is someone that, they have infinite chances to mess up. You'll always forgive them. You'll always love them because you know who they are. You know who they are as a person. You know who they are at the core. That they have a good heart. That they mean well. So they have endless opportunities to mess up. You'll forgive them, and they tried their best, and we don't give ourselves. Why don't we give ourselves that same, sentiment, or that same sort of thoughtfulness, or opportunity, or room, and that just really sat with me, and it's definitely speaking to me because I don't give myself the self-love and appreciation that I deserve. I don't give myself the praise that I deserve. I don't tell myself good job. I don't tell myself I love you, Kevin. Like, you did your best. And even if your best isn't great, you can always say, hey, good job. Let's do better next time. Keep going. It's fine. It's okay. So when you do that, and I guess this is more so applicable for you if you find any perfectionist in yourself, but when you can start to love yourself regardless and continue to be okay with how you're doing or what you accomplish or where you're at, and just being cool with it, and just being grateful for the whole journey and the whole growth of it all, the process, you suddenly start to dissolve. And I'm not talking from experience. I'm talking from the concept that Aaron was sharing, is that you kind of start to dissolve the fears and the insecurities and things like that come with the perfectionism. You start to be able to live from a standpoint of being gentle and kind with yourself, and just, of course, not giving up on your efforts and your goals, still showing up and doing your best to accomplish the things you want to. But it's those moments of after each effort, if you can kind of develop this default piece of the effort that you made and this loving of yourself, well then, man, you can just live, be happy with what is, drop into the present moment, and be satisfied and be content. And then it breaks down the barriers, and it breaks down this whole self-created box of this is the way the world needs to work, and this is the way that things need to work for me to be happy, and we can be our own best friend, and we can treat ourselves like we would our own best friend, and we can really be proud of ourselves, and we really can remind ourselves how awesome we are. The compliments you would give a best friend, you can give those to yourself. So anyway, now that I'm at work, hopefully one day this is the work, or something like this will be the work, but for now I'm headed into the office, and I'm going to be okay today with whatever comes from my efforts, because I love myself. I'm good enough as is. My happiness doesn't need to be tied to some artificial sense of accomplishment. I already am enough. You know what I mean? I'm already great. So just a thought maybe to check in with yourself today. Pat yourself on the back. Remind yourself that you are doing your best. Or as I like to say, at least doing your best to do your best. That's something that I feel like is if you can instill that you're always doing your best to do your best, then that should be good enough. And sometimes your best will come out of that. All right. Enjoy the Friday. I'm out. Peace.